Hold on a second. This is pure genius. So you made over $30,000 of commissions. You got $1.9 million in referrals that you already closed and funded. You've got $2 million in pre-approvals out there looking. You referred out $1.1 million in transactions to your realtors, all in the first 45 days of being in the academy.
Correct.
Wow. Hey guys, Wally Olivieri. All right, so what is 24/7 mindset? Most times when you hear 24/7, you're thinking what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just grinding, hustling. You know, I learned over time, a 24-year career in mortgage and multiple other businesses that I own is, unfortunately, you'll get burnt out. I became an absent father, I became an absent husband, and I became a poor business leader because I was trying to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to build a business, maintain a business. When I learned how to work smarter, not just harder, by doing things the best way it could be done, instead of just simply doing my best, I learned how to work only 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, while I got paid from the business residually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do the same. Welcome to the show. All right. So super excited about today. It's one special moment as a teacher or instructor, as a coach or an author, is when you meet someone that not only believes in what you're teaching, but that takes it and top grades it. So what I'm really excited about today is Bryan. Talking to Bryan and kind of understanding more of like, hey, but his implementation and how he brought that to life. So before we jump into it, Bryan, tell us a little bit about who you are and what are you all about?
Well, I've been doing mortgages. This is the 24th year. I did residential real estate for about 12 years as well. I've helped a lot of families, and I really like the investment side of real estate and helping people understand that. So, when I found your program, I was really attracted to the idea of, we're going to work with people and help them understand the financial advising piece. And I get a little bit more technical than most, so that's cool for me. But I'm north of Chicago, about 45 minutes. I grew up here, and everything is Chicagoland for me. I've been in Grays Lake, where I'm sitting right now, for the last 12 years. I've had my office here, and married for 18 years this year, and two kids, a 17-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son, and nothing but sports for them. So
Awesome, man. I'm just a hair ahead of you. So we married 18 years going on 19, and I've got an 18-year-old boy and a 16-year-old boy. So just a hair ahead of you.
cool.
It's crazy how fast time flies, though, right?
Understatement, man. It's instantly gone.
Yeah. So one of your kids is driving, and the other one's gonna be driving soon.
Yeah, 17-year-old's driving, and yeah, she drives.
One of I bawled like a baby, not the first time. Well, actually, it was the first time my oldest son drove my youngest son to school together. And imagine, like, you're standing by your front door, you and your wife, and oldest son gets in the car, youngest son gets in the car, and they drive off to school, and you're just like, that's my world that just left. And you're just like,
so true.
So, well, cool, man. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about your mortgage history. Been at this 20 plus years. Tell me, like, volume range and like how does all that kind of look like?
So I typically range somewhere between 25 and 50 million, depending on the year.
Okay.
I've had as many as 7 people on my personal production team. The best year I've had was a couple hundred units closed in a year. Did not really enjoy that. I did not like that. I was 100% realtor focused at the time, and that was nothing but burnout for me, and the process and the people. And I was being coached, and I'll follow the process, but I'm not the smartest guy, so I'll make mistakes and not know that I'm making mistakes. And it was a kind of a painful process learning how to get through that, as you mentioned in your book, right?
Yeah.
So I had a bigger team, didn't really enjoy that. I was too far removed from the client. So a couple of years back, we said, okay, let's restructure this, and we turned around and said, all right, we're gonna get me more involved on the front end with the client at the initial conversation and increase lead conversion, and then really just spend my time with the client and the referral partner, and then have people in the background, just like what you've described, to take care of anything loan related. I love giving the advice and solving the problem. I just absolutely do not like looking at tax returns, bank statements, pay stubs, and anything like that.
Yeah. So, how'd you hear about me? When was the first time you kind of heard about me or anything that I teach?
I think the first time that I actually saw you was a while ago. I think we connected on Facebook as friends probably 3 or 4 years ago, actually.
Okay.
Uh, you had a video of something that caught my attention. I was like, oh, actually, you know what it was? You did a video with Dave Savage on Mortgage Coach about the annual mortgage review process with automated voicemail drop, and I was like, that guy's smart. I like that. That was how I found you.
Yeah, man. Dave Savage, the one that wrote the Ford to 24/7 mindset. Absolutely phenomenal friend, phenomenal mentor. He's poured so much into me. It's just crazy.
That's
And you know what he's been able to do for the technology and the mortgage industry in general has just been outstanding. I mean, from the mortgage coach to sales boomerang and trust engine now, it's been pretty awesome to be able to use his technology to be able to grow our mortgage business and income. So it's been neat.
I remember when I first, so I've been using Mortgage Coach, I think 17 years now.
Yeah.
And I thought my spreadsheet was pretty cool. And then
Yeah.
I saw Mortgage Coach and I was like, well, I got to have that.
Yeah.
That's different. And then I couldn't tell you how many deals I've closed because of Mortgage Coach. It's a phenomenal tool.
Yeah.
So
So tell me a little bit about this. Talk about what I want to talk about is okay. So the academy came out started in January. Before that, had you purchased the client concierge system or no?
no, actually, so I've got all these other projects that I've got on my plate right now. I'm like, I don't want to add to it and then just have it sit there. So it's on my list of things to do. But when you offer it's the 24/7 mindset program, right?
So there's two things that we offer. One is the academy, 6 Lane Highway Academy that you're in every Thursday. And the other one is the client concierge system. So it's like me teaching a 29 module breakdown of how to do the 7-day call, the 30-day call, the 6-month call, the annual mortgage efficiency checkup, the whole entire process from A to Z post closing.
So the 6 lane highway that I'm in, I looked at
Yep.
that. And, well, okay, I want to move away from such a realtor focused model,
Yep.
and I want to deal, like, quite frankly, I wanted to deal with smarter people, man. I wanted to deal with people that
Yep.
like appreciated what went into putting some of these deals together and understood, like, wow, that's not normal. I like that. Okay, I want to work with this guy.
Yeah, let's elaborate about that. So to me, there's some of the best motivation comes from the most amount of pain. What was it that made you want to work with smarter people? Your words.
Oh, perfect, perfect. I'll give you the exact. It was October of 21. I think I just made 100 grand that month, and I'm like, all right, this is good. And man, we had one complaint after the other. So I knew that I had the wrong people on the team. They weren't following the process. I needed to be a better leader. I had to have better training, and all these things started to culminate. And then I took a step back and I started to analyze where the problem clients were coming from, and most of them were coming from agents that I had, prospected that weren't very experienced, and they weren't grateful. They weren't, they didn't have my back. It was always like, nothing's ever good enough, fast enough, or cheap enough. And it doesn't matter that you solve the problem and save the deal. Next, you're only as good as your next deal. And I'm like, yeah, it just doesn't sit well with me. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized most people don't understand what's going on behind the scenes with a mortgage to save a deal like I had done for these people.
Yeah.
So we're just going to move on. And I stopped prospecting those people and started looking for more experienced realtors. And then when I found this program, I'm like, wow, okay, financial advisors, estate planning attorneys, CPAs. I deal with a lot of self-employed borrowers and their accountant already. So I'll reverse engineer the tax return before they file it, so they know what they can or cannot be approved for before they even start shopping for a house. And like, I want to work with more people like that, I realize. So that's kind of the culmination of it.
Are you one of those smart loan officers that knows how to calculate income?
Unfortunately, I have that.
I do not. I've never calculated one tax return. And to be honest with you, I don't plan on starting.
Now, I will tell you, I don't enjoy doing it, but I will, like anybody, like, the software tool LoanBeam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, what a lifesaver, man. So I saw that product come out. I don't know, it's probably 5 years ago. I'm like, I have to have this.
Yeah.
And I was at a previous company and they turned it on and I started to realize, wow, this is just not as hard as it was. So I really actually learned how to do self-employment income using LoanBeam and reverse engineering their calculations to understand what was going on.
Wow. Cool. So you saw the advertisement for a 6-lane highway. I'm assuming you saw it on social or in the private Facebook group.
It was on social. It hit my
Okay.
Facebook feed, if I'm not mistaken.
Perfect. Those ads definitely do work. So you saw the ad, you saw that you wanted to work with smarter clients. Tell me a little bit about your journey. Obviously, you've had a phenomenal last couple weeks, but how do you kind of start in it? What my biggest hope, my biggest takeaway, Bryan, is you're such a star student, and and not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but what I want everybody to understand is Bryan took the 6-lane highway. He focused on one lane, which is financial advisors. He generated over $2 million worth of pre-approvals that he's got out there looking at houses, but he's already closed. Was it 1.6 or 1.3 million?
It's just at 1.8 million.
I'm sorry, $1.8 million worth of loans already. He's already generated over $30,000 in commissions, in the first 30, 60 days of being in the academy. Like, to me, it was funny. It was like I was texting with him. I was like, dude, that's like a 300% ROI rate of return on that investment. I'm like, I need to raise my prices or something. But the goal of that is like, dude, like, let's freaking keep that up. Let's knock out $1 million, $2 million a month from wealth advisors consistently, month after month after month. Then in 2025, let's add CPAs that we knock out another $1 million, $2 million. 2026, we're jumping in with family will attorneys. 2027, we're jumping in with insurance. And before you know it, you've got $100 million coming in and you closing funding, and you never had to work with one realtor.
Well, I'm a little biased. I did real estate for 12 years. So like I'm certified negotiation expert, every designation you can think of, anything that is going to educate you as either a realtor or a lender, I'm attracted to. So I've taken a lot, and like it's just frustrating for me to see the level of service that most consumers get from the people they choose to work with, and to know that it can be infinitely better. So I have to remove myself from that because it literally bothers me. So doing the financial, like what you just exactly said, financial advisor year 1, CPA year 2, so on and so forth. That's exactly what I thought. As soon as I saw this, I'm like, okay, I can focus for a year. And just like I did when I built my business on realtors, and I went from, 0 to 150 deals in a year with just realtors. So why can't we do the same thing here?
Yeah, and it's totally cool to think that it's like, you're already knocking 1.8 million the first month or 2 months into it, and I'm not saying you're not going to hit rough patches. Every salesperson, you're going to hit rough patches, right? But if you've got that 2 million in pre-approvals, and next month you add another 2 million in pre-approvals, and next month you add another 2 million in pre-approvals, you and I both know the fundings are going to come.
100%.
They're just guaranteed to come. But are you, I guess one thing that, before we kind of get into your story, the first six to 8 weeks or so, do you feel like you're a naturally patient person?
Extremely impatient.
Okay. So I see a good chunk of self-discipline in you of how you're implementing. How do you kind of manage that? Because like us salespeople are ADD, ADHD. We're like this shiny animal, this shiny animal, this shiny squirrel. Like, how do you kind of manage that?
Well, I've had a professional coach for the last, let's see, 20 years now, and that is a big part of it. So having somebody beat on me and say stop and just focus was a big part of it. So for me, I mean, I literally just sit down and make phone calls for an hour to 2 hours, like 4 to 5 days a week. I don't do it all the time. Like we mentioned before, volume is, my capacity is limited based on volume, and I need to hire somebody else. So I'm kind of stretched a little thin right now, and I'm trying to pull as much deal flow as I possibly can in without going crazy work hour wise for myself. So I have to be focused. So, I'll come into the office. I'm usually here 8:30 or 9. I usually work until about 6 o'clock, but it's very simple. I make phone calls in the morning. I have appointments with referral partners or clients from 11:30 until 6, and that's Monday through Friday. That's it. But I don't book appointments prior to that. So from that 9 to 11 in the window, like that 2 hour window in the morning, that's really how I generate leads. Like that's very simple. But I'm calling people I already know. I'm not cold calling people.
Got it. Absolutely awesome, man. All right. So you started the academy with me in January. We went every Thursday from 2 p.m. to 3:30,
Yep.
an hour and a half every single week together. I poured into you. You took that. Talk to me. I think you really started to hit traction like 3 to 4 weeks in, which was like super great, really quick start. So how did you, the first 6 to 8 weeks, generate $2 million in pre-approvals plus $1.8 million in closed fundings of 30 some odd $1,000 in commissions? Like how'd you pull it off?
So in December, we had our intro call. Remember the first call we did for the 6-lane highway? And after we hung up, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was on a Friday. Maybe it was on a Thursday. But after that was over, I was thinking about that all weekend. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make a couple phone calls to people that I already know and ask them who they know that I don't know that I should. And specifically asking about financial advisors. And we got a few introductions. I didn't even do the Triangle for Trust email. I literally just picked the phone up and called and was like, hey, your client said that we should talk. We need to sit down and talk. Can we grab a cup of coffee? And that's what started the first conversation. Which, interestingly enough, I had 3 financial advisor meetings like that, and then I have a guy connect with me on LinkedIn, completely cold financial advisor, like literally like cold connect me on LinkedIn. So I respond back, happy to talk. I schedule an appointment with him, and he gets added to the mix. So now I've got 4 people that I've had coffee meetings with, and like I said last week when we talked, I'm just kind of stumbling through it because I don't have a good grasp of what the conversation really needs to look like for the financial advisor. If you put me in front of a realtor, it's a whole different story. But kind of, look, what's important to you? How can I help you grow your business? What are you doing with assets under management? How do you uncover other documents or assets that aren't in your management, like in your world right now? And most of them, like, they didn't have a plan for any of the questions and they couldn't answer most of them. So said, all right, well, I don't know if it's going to make sense to do anything together or not. I don't know if we're going to be a good fit for the long term, but why don't you come by the office and I'll show you what we do and we can figure out what the next steps look like. So I had a coffee meeting, invited them back to the office. They came by the office, like, see my office. They're like, okay, you got a professional office. You seem to know what you're doing. And it was literally, no, I wasn't using HomeBot yet. I wasn't using any of the software tools other than Mortgage Coach. And all I did was ask them for their existing most recent mortgage statement to share with them what a TCA looks like for them. That's it. So
I think the viewer is gonna be like, all right, that dude's lying. But no, I want everybody to understand, like, it's literally that easy.
Yeah.
The technology, if you're able to use technology to your advantage, the HomeBot and the total cost analysis, we do that naturally. An annual mortgage view sounds so complicated. A mortgage efficiency checkup sounds so complicated, but it's not. You're going through and helping them find gaps in their mortgage structure. There is, like, I'm not going to say there's 0 loan officers out there, but it's the 1% of the 1%. So it's 0.01% of loan officers out there call their clients after closing.
Yeah, it's like non-existent, man.
It's, I mean, you walk around your office. I walked around many mortgage companies. I've taught in many mortgage companies. When you ask the room to raise their hand, do you have a structured way you reach out to your clients after closing? No.
Correct.
Do you reach out to your clients when a refi boom hits? Yes. Like, everyone does that, right?
Exactly.
But, there's no structured way. And I said, for every 1 referral that you receive, how many referrals do you refer out? What do you mean? What we teach on the 6-lane highway is for every 1 referral that you get in, there's 4 referrals that you can give out. A CPA, a financial advisor, a family will attorney, and an insurance agent that you're able to refer out. You're going to get referrals back. Even though you might be the worst loan officer in history, you refer out 4 times on every single loan that you close or every single client you pre-approve, you're going to get referrals back.
The odds are in favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and so this is the interesting thing. So after that initial meeting, and I just shared the TCA with these guys, I asked them to send me their mortgage statement before that follow-up. After I got the statement, I prepared the TCA, so when they came into the office, we could sit down and review it. And then we just kind of talked about what could happen with an annual review.
Mhm.
And I asked them, just like what you said, hey, how frequently are you meeting with your past clients? Oh, we meet with them once a year. Are you asking for a mortgage statement, insurance documents? I had one out of the 4 advisors say that he's doing that.
Yeah.
Nobody mentioned anything about, tax appeal. Nobody mentioned anything about removing MI without having to refinance. And absolutely none of them understood that they could get referrals from their past clients. Like they weren't doing that either. So I mean, it's just bringing the information to them and just having the conversation. That by itself is what generated the referrals.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got to also understand, I mean, it's not like we're all swimming with deals right now, right? We all have time.
Yes.
And, if I came up with a 24/7 mindset back in like 2020 when we're all buried in loans, no one would have paid attention to it.
No.
But
Agreed.
but now where there's a starvation that loan officers are feeling, but they keep banging their head against the wall. And I was talking to a loan officer the other day in coaching session, and he's like, my manager wants me to call 100 new cold call agents a day. And like, that's literally, I said, well, does the manager make the 100 cold calls agents a day?
No.
And he goes, no. Like, what would make you think you're going to be successful at it? He goes, I've been doing it for 9 weeks. I've not gotten one meeting. I'm like, of course you didn't.
Wow.
Why would you keep doing it? And I
Yeah.
said, do you have past clients? And he went through, so this is about 6 weeks ago, and I've talked to him yesterday. And come to find out, now he's already got like 1,000,001 turned in because he went back to his database. He started calling his database. He started referring out to CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agents. He bought HomeBot. He got Mortgage Coach. He followed the process. He followed the model. And then now he's got like $15,000 in commissions he's about to get. And his manager is like, well, he's all super excited for him. And no ill will, anything the manager and that stuff, but some of the best advice I ever got years ago is never take advice from someone you're not willing to trade places with.
Agreed, dude. 100%.
So, you know what I mean?
100% agreed. And another way I'd like to say that is if somebody's not making more money than me, I don't listen to them. My branch manager was not doing the work and not leading by example, then there's no way he could expect or she could expect that person's going to do it.
Yeah. So talk to me about confidence. So did you ever have any self-doubt? Did you ever ask like, well, dude, these financial advisors are going to realize I don't know squat. I'm going to look like a phony. Did any of that ever creep into mind or no?
Absolutely. I believe anybody that says that they don't deal with that on a regular basis is lying in sales. It's going to happen. For me, I look at it and I'm like, well, maybe I'm not the best. Maybe I'm not as good as, or maybe I don't provide this level of service and they're getting this elsewhere. But what I found most of the time is when I have those thoughts, they're self-belief, like they're internal beliefs that just popped into my head. And the reality is most people aren't getting the level of service that I provide. They're not getting the level of communication. They're certainly not getting the advice, and they're not being like coached through the process like we provide. So the more I understand that and the more meetings I have with people, the more it just reinforces that I'm on the right path and that it works. But it's a constant thing. Like self-doubt's a constant thing.
How'd you kind of overcome I mean, it sounds like you had a little bit of imposter syndrome, right? So you got in the 6-lane highway academy and you're like, hey, all right, I know realtors, but I'm going to go focus on financial advisors. And you did not know what you're doing. Like, how can someone hear your story, Bryan, and feel inspired that, hey, if Bryan can do it, so can they?
Well, the reality is I literally got 0 questions from any of the financial advisors that I couldn't answer because they don't really understand the mortgage side of things. Like they really don't. Like I know from my experience, anytime somebody asks me about rate, they don't know anything about mortgages. Like that's literally what happens. So if they're focused on rate, whether that's a consumer or the referral partner, whoever it is, they truly don't understand how we can help. So as soon as somebody asks about rate, that kind of brings my guard down and makes me understand, oh, okay, there's an opportunity to help educate here and maybe show them some information that's going to enlighten what they're trying to accomplish with their client. And now I just share what it is that we do. So again, knowing that like most people don't get the level of service that we provide, they don't get the level of advice, they don't understand how they don't understand the tax benefits of ownership. Like when I read in your book, I'm like, this guy gets it. This is what I share with people about why they need to own real estate. And then you took it to the next level with cost segregation. So like just sharing information like that, that's it. So like they don't understand most of this stuff. Just because they have the moniker of financial advisor does not mean that they understand finances.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because like we talked about before in the class, a high level majority of financial advisors are life insurance salespeople,
Correct.
and all they know is volume, 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 but they don't really understand the analytics of assets under management. And when you realize that, and majority of financial advisors are really life insurance salespeople, it puts you in a really strong position because us mortgage loan officers, you've done this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you really understand finances, and you can really tell when a client's overextended. You can really tell when they're not financially, IQ isn't there. You can really tell when they've got poor mismanagement. And then also you can really tell when clients are managed really well and their finances are really well and the structure of the debt management's really well. When you get to a certain level of success in mortgage, we become the financial advisors,
Totally.
right? And the ability to be able to hold our own with actually truly financial advisors is so easy, but we've got this psyche. We've got this like mental block in our head that we don't have a Series 6 or a Series 7. We don't have all these big certifications, so we're not smart enough or we're not worthy enough. And I remember originally when I was going through this and I was at a coaching session and I asked the question, I said, how's my approach different? How should it be different from going after a realtor than going after a financial advisor? And I had the realization, like, it should not be different at all. They're both professionals. They're both salespeople. They both have similar or the same challenges in business. It's usually their model. It's usually their system. It's usually their technology. It's usually their humans that they have on their team. And if I can become an expert in that space, then I can be just as impactful.
100%. Well, and the other aspect of this, what was interesting to me is I realized this back in December after that initial kickoff call. My wife and I were talking, and I'm like, what's interesting is there's more debt in the United States than there is assets. There's more liabilities than there are in assets. So why is everybody focused on the asset side? Yeah. So I literally, like, part of what I just say to people in general, I've said this for a long time, is like if your financial advisor or your accountant is helping you with the asset side of the balance sheet, I'm on the liability side. So I'm here to help you with your liabilities and your credit. Who's helping you with your liabilities and your credit? Nobody. Okay, well, that's where I fit in. And that is exactly what I said to all 4 advisors. And that was like a light bulb that went off in their mind. And they're like, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant. I mean, you said it better than more eloquently than I said. I said, like, I'm like the defensive player of the year. You're the financial advisor, the offensive player that you're here to grow their wealth. I'm here to protect their debt. And when you understand that, if I'm here to protect someone's debt, I've got to manage their debt over time to keep protecting it. I can't just one and done and close the loan and like go MIA. I've got to stay in relationship. I got to stay in their life. If not, then I'm not. What am I managing?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, you're on a treadmill, which is what I was on with the real estate piece. And, looking at all the past clients I have that I've neglected, I can take this model and reintroduce myself to them and still nurture the relationship and still be able to refer 4 people, if not more, out.
Yeah. So let's kind of fast forward a little bit. Let's go say it's what right now it's early March. Mm-hmm. So where do you want to see yourself? Say, I want to hear where you want to see yourself in June. Then where do you want to see yourself like the end of the year?
So one of my goals this year, I want to hire a full-time loan assistant. I used to call them loan partners, but they're not loan partners. They're assistants in my mind. And I want to have that full-time person that is 100% dedicated to all loan-related work, whether that's pre-approval, whether that's, contract to close. I don't want to be having to deal with anything other than client meetings, referral partner meetings, and giving the advice. So that's number one. Like I have a super, super lean business. I own the property that we're in. I don't have any expenses. Like it's very, very inexpensive for me to operate our branch. So I have the budget to be able to do this. I just want to find the right person. So having the right person to support me is super, 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 super important to me. I had the wrong people before. And one of my core values is I've got your back. So like with referral partners, like we just had this happen, a realtor this weekend had referred me a client to pre-approve. We got the process started. We don't have documents from them yet. And then I get a phone call from another agent who's kind of a big deal in our market. And she said, "Oh, I'm working with this client. I don't know who they're working with. And but they said they're working with you for the mortgage, but I don't want to know who the other realtor is." Like it was like I had an issue with her lack of integrity. So I called my referral partner and I said, "Look, I just got a phone call about this mutual client. I want you to know I've got your back." And she's like, "Thank you so much." So she called the agent, they had a conversation, worked it all out, and everything's good. But my point in sharing that, my team has to have that. Like I have to have that internally. So that's what I'm on the hunt for first half. Volume wise, like I don't want to like lasso the moon. I want to basically close 24 million this year, like 2 million a month. And we're easily on track to do that this year.
Okay. So where do you see yourself in 2025?
So my second half of the year, major goal, like main focus for the most part, will be a second hire, which will be an executive like assistant. I want I want an executive assistant. I don't want an admin that's like inexperienced. I want somebody that understands like what it looks like to help me get to that next level and support me in doing that. So for me this year, it's really about hiring the right people in order to allow me to spend more time prospecting and doing the activity I'm talking about with this. So I think that's probably a $75,000 to $100,000 a year hire, and the loan assistant's probably a $50,000 to $75,000 hire.
Well, I think that's brilliant because the different approach you're building a team around you to give you back your time. Unfortunately, most loan officers, including myself in the past, we'd always build a team around us to help us close more loans. And it just become a zoo.
And I hated it, man. I love efficiency. I would love to be able to close one loan and make $1 million a year, but we know that's not real. Right? You might be able to do it once, but I don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good. All right. Well, give me some homework then. Obviously, you've read my book and you understand my wealth and for the 400 some odd rentals and I don't even need my mortgage income to live my life. And if I don't need my mortgage income to live my life, I really don't need my 24/7 mindset income to live my life. So I do this because I really, really enjoy making a difference. And but let me behind the curtains a little bit. Like, where do you see me fitting in of making a difference in your life moving forward?
So first and foremost, thanks for asking that. So 25 years ago, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I said, this book is freaking amazing. I lost everything in a business that I had created after I dropped out of college and had to rebuild. And I said, I'm going to get a real estate license. And the whole purpose of getting that license was so I could go invest in real estate. And I had to eat. So I got distracted and I learned how to do real estate transactions for third parties. And then I got into loans because I couldn't figure out like who I could trust to do the mortgage work. So I started doing the mortgages for our clients too. So I learned all this knowledge about how deals get put together and how to close them and how to find opportunities and all these great things about our day-to-day mortgage and real estate practices. But I didn't spend a lot of time investing in real estate. On top of that, I had a business coach that literally did not believe in real estate. I'm like, wait a minute, we finance real estate. It's the best tax benefit in the market out of anything else. And you're telling me to just keep investing money into the stock market. Yes. Yeah. So long story short, I want to understand how I can grow my net worth at a higher level with real estate acquisition. So this year I'd like to buy 4 multifamilies.
Okay.
So we've got 3 investment properties right now, 4 including primary. I would like 4 unit properties. I'm in Chicago. Multifamilies are very, very common. But I want to use the there's two loan products that we have access to that I want to leverage to be able to do this. So I can take a line of credit that I have against one of our real estate properties that's free and clear and use that for the payment, come back in, rehab, basically buy, rehab, rent, or refinance, then rent. And I want to just continuously recycle that money. From my mortgage income, my goal is to make between 50 to 100,000 a month. I think this year I could easily do 50,000 per month. Yeah. If I net 50, it's pretty hard to have a poor life on 20 grand a month. I can still save quite a bit of money, right? So the objective with that is I want to take 80% of the free cash that we have after our living expenses and reinvest that into buying more real estate. But there's a submarket that we have a cabin in that is great for short-term rentals. Like it's a 20,000 person county with a 2 million visitor per season market. It's crazy. It's 100% occupancy. We can get $500 a night for the properties that we're looking at, but I need to buy them with 20 to 25% down. So the savings that I'm going to create from my after-tax income is going to be put right back into buying those short-term rentals up in that county. So long-term rental, short-term rental. The long-term rentals are eventually going to be 1031, so we can buy multi and then cost segregate. So I want your help with that. And in order to build the financial advisor piece, like I'm like a robot. Like I will just go do the work, but I'm also unaware a lot about what's happening. It's like I'm just like blinders. I'll just go do the work, and then I'll wake up and like look up, and I'm like, oh, I could have. I'm over here. I should have been that way. I still got a good result, but it could have been way better if I was over there. So I need somebody to help me with that.
Got it. Happy to help, and that's where I really. I'm well known for mortgage, but wealth is where I really enjoy, and that's gone really well on my end.
I mean, listen, man, you can do a loan. I can do a loan. That's great. All I care about is how do we produce a system that's duplicable so I can bring other people in so that I can go invest more time in the real estate so I can do things that I want to like actually go do.
Well, you're ahead of me. I mean, when I met Robert Kiyosaki in 2013, you saw in my book how I talked about the 25% rule. Mm-hmm. And you never live off more than 25% what you earn. And you've got always have plenty to invest after that and such. But I had like a negative net worth. I owned no real estate back then, like 2012, 2013. And then, I like $60,000 in credit card debt. So once you realize and you have that awakening and you start plugging ahead, and I sold my cars, canceled the country club, and it started really living under my means. It gave me the ability to be able to invest and grow. And, it's awesome that you're already in real estate. You already understand the BRRR strategy. You already understand the cost segregation, depreciation, and the write-offs aspect of it. Yeah. Happy to help, man. So
listen, I've had this like plan since 1999, literally. And I'm like, why am I not doing this? Like, what the heck is going, like, how did I get so far in the left field? And granted, I've learned how to make a, high 6, low 7-digit income. Like, that's awesome. But like in the book, hey, you live off of what you earn at 25%. Well, we weren't doing that, until we had to. And now we're like, okay, we've got a net worth. We have equity in real estate. We've got cash. We've got retirement. We didn't have that, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So now we do. And now we just have to leverage the assets we have and then the process and the other resources that are available. Like that. I mean, that's what attracted me to the whole thing was,
good.
Wow, I want to build wealth, not just have I don't need to learn how to make a commission.
Do you have life insurance?
Simple term policy for
figure out who your favorite financial advisor of that group that you're talking to, mm-hmm. and have a conversation with them about whole life insurance.
Okay.
So I put in about $17,000 a month into my whole value life insurance. And that's roughly somewhere in the neighborhood of like about 30 million or so in face value, but cash value sitting in it is like 1.4 million cash sitting in the life insurance policy. Well, life insurance cash value policies accrue 5% month after month compounded over and over, completely tax-free. So then I leveraged that, did an additional 25 million in our family trust. So just me alone, there's over $50 million worth of insurance on it. And then the rest of our net worth through real estate and everything else. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow where everything is, I mean, there's over $100 million there combined and
Cool.
everything for for my kids. And it's all in the trust.
Love
But
it.
it all started with a cash value life insurance. Started for back in 2013 and 14. So
Okay.
I'd have a conversation and have more of a better understanding on that.
Okay.
Because what I did was I would put in 15 grand a month, 20 grand a month, 30 grand a month. Sometimes I put 100 grand into the cash value life insurance. It would grow 5% and I'd borrow against it. I borrowed from myself and I used that money to go buy real estate with.
That's
So
fun.
my down payments for my apartment complexes came from my cash value life insurance accounts that grew tax-free, that grew in the trust with no taxes.
So, okay. So I'm just thinking out loud because the initial thought was do the BRRR strategy on the 4-unit long-term rentals, and I'm
Yeah.
creating equity on each one of those. But it's small cash flow, $1,000 to $2,000 per month from each property.
But it's okay. You got to start somewhere. It's
Well,
okay.
yeah. If I look at it, like if I were to buy one of the short-term rentals, I need 100 grand roughly to buy. Like I have to put 20 or 25% down on those. But the positive cash flow, like they're going to net 5 grand a month each. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a 50% cash on cash return every year. So I guess here's a question, and I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if you do, but if you were to take that 100,000 and instead of saving it in cash, you put it into the whole life policy, how soon can you borrow against the whole life, and what percentage against?
I mean, you can borrow against it right away. Depends. So in your case, you're going to be starting from scratch. So you got to give it a little bit of time to mature.
Okay.
So I'd maybe say a year to 2 years. But the first, you got to remember, so I've had mine over 11 years now.
Yep.
So right now, my cash value life insurance policies are making about $35,000 a month in interest.
Awesome, man.
Right? But they've matured for 11 years.
Yeah.
Next year, they'll make $39,000 a month in interest. Next year after that, they'll make, $42,000, $43,000 a month in interest. But it keeps compounding, right?
Yeah.
It took after year four, it would cost money every month. But after year 4, going into year 5, so 6 years ago,
that it flipped.
Then it started making me $50 a month, $500 a month, $2,000 a month, and it just compounds where now it's like $35,000 a month in interest, which is that 5% compounded on how many ever millions in there.
That's amazing. So then using the BRRR strategy, buying a property that you could effectively rehab because it's distressed purchase, you could refinance that, get all your cash back, pay back the loan against the life insurance policy. And when you borrow against the life insurance, what kind of rate do you typically see?
When the rates are where they are right now, it's about 5%. And when rates were low, we're like 2 to 3%.
That's nothing.
So, but here's where I want to click in your mind. What you just described is how you become your own bank.
Yes.
My deposits that I made as my own bank now is paying me interest back.
Yes.
I'm using that interest to go borrow more debt that pays me back more residual income while it gives me more write-offs.
100%.
It's just the assembly line of printing your own money.
Absolutely. So back in, I think it was 2001. Yeah, it was like the second year I was in real estate. I get invited by a financial advisor to like a dinner seminar. And he's like, "Oh, you got to come check this out. You're going to love this." Oh, all right. So I show up and there's probably 30 or 40 people in the room. And this guy gets on stage. His name was Nelson Nash. Do you know that name?
No.
Infinite Banking is the name of his book.
I know the book. Great book. I've read it. Absolutely great book.
So he's on stage talking and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Until you just brought that up. Like I haven't thought about that in years, but yeah, that's exactly what he talked about.
It's literally what it is. They're infinite banking through cash value life insurance. Now, here's what's super cool, right? I'm just in the early stages of this. What's super cool about it is now you create infinite banking through my family trust.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I kick the bucket and there's $50 million of life insurance that goes into that family trust, right? That gets deposited in there. Then when my sons need something from it, they borrow from it,
which is not a taxable event.
Attaboy, there you go. And then also on top of that, they've got life insurance on themselves. There's millions on my older son. There's millions on my younger son. When they die, who's the beneficiary? The trust.
Gotcha.
And that's how the Vanderbilts are built. That's the Waltons. Like when the mortgage business, the brokerage, or the 24/7 Mindset Academy, who owns that? The trust does.
Gotcha.
The trust does. The trust does. So I own nothing. I control everything. And the person that owns everything is the trust, which completely is tax-free.
Love it. So as I rebuild the business, my whole objective is to get to 100,000 a month. And, like I said, 25,000 is what I'd like to do. My thought process was to pay myself a salary of, let's just call it 30. So net, we have 20 to 25 after taxes. And then my household, my wife, the kids, everything, all that's taken care of, but I can still leave about 70,000 or so in the branch. And then any expenses that I can expense through the branch business, the mortgage business, that'll come out tax-free. We'll max out anything that we can do with a 401k or any other, like pre-tax retirement accounts. And then whatever's left over is going to be the cash value that I can save per month.
Yeah. Do you own your own commercial building that houses your mortgage company?
Yeah. So I bought an office condo where I'm at. It's an industrial condo. And basically, my deal with the company is they pay $5,000 a month rent. I have zero debt on it. I've got 250 grand in equity in it, and it's brand new. It's perfect. It's perfect space. I can have 3 here and myself.
You cost segregate it?
Not yet. I literally just finished it within the last 6 months. So we're going to deal with that this year with my accountant.
Well, as your mortgage business grows, and if you need to expand on, take another suite on, buy it. But let's just say you buy something that's like 5,000 square feet and you only need 1,000 square foot of it, you can cost segregate all of it, and it's tax-free through your P&L.
Oh, I love to hear that. Okay.
Yeah. Then you can have an insurance agent in there, a title company in there, a financial advisor in there. You can build those services around you from there. Okay. So we 100% officially got off topic.
Yeah, sorry, man.
All right. So one closing question, I'm going to let you go, and we can talk later. All right. So why are you actually 2 questions? Why are you going to stay in the 6-lane highway academy? And why do you advise other loan officers to join the 6-lane highway academy?
Well, why would I stay? Because the information is infinitely more valuable than the cost. And being around people that understand things better than I do is only going to help get me where I want to go. So, you're ahead of me on this. Nothing that I can't learn, but I don't know what I don't know. And staying in the program is going to allow me to keep that happening. And anybody that's not in this program, either A, really doesn't understand the opportunity that's sitting in front of them, or B, they just haven't investigated it. So, why would they want to? Just put in perspective, those 4 financial advisor meetings turned into just about $2 million worth of referrals. That turned into $1.8 million worth of closings within 60 days. Not even, it was like 45 days. Out of those closings, I was able to direct traffic to all 3 realtors, which then in turn generated even more referrals on top of what the financial advisors created. And I didn't told you about this yet, but we've got another 1.1 million under contract that's closing April 1st from the leads that the realtors sent to me after I referred them the clients from the financial advisor.
Hold on a second. This is pure genius. All right. So you made over $30,000 of commissions. You got $1.9 million in referrals that you already closed and funded. You've got $2 million in pre-approvals out there looking. You referred out $1.1 million in transactions to your realtors, all in the first 45 days of being in the academy?
Correct.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's awesome, man. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
That's what I said. I'm like, this is great. I think I don't want it to sound negative from a realtor perspective, but not being able to control the lead costs a lot. Meaning, it costs emotionally, it costs financially, relationally. And that was a big breaking point for me back in 2001 or 2021, because I felt like I didn't have any control over anything what was happening. Almost like, not that I'm a victim, but like, hey, I have to wait for the realtor to refer me, and then I have to, do whatever I can to make that person happy to get the next opportunity. It was just not the right model for me. And now, flipping the table, if I can take that opportunity from the financial advisor or the CPA or any of the other wealth partners and then refer that back to the realtor, I tell them point blank, hey, I'm not referring anybody that doesn't refer me.
Yeah.
So if you want me to refer you, you need to refer me as well. And just so we're clear, I'm the whale here with my couple thousand past clients, not you with your 30. And if you want a part of this, we need to figure out how to work together here.
Yeah.
And I'm super direct with the realtor, like super direct.
Well, when you control the lead, you control the outcome and you control the process, right? Well, Bryan, I am stoked, man. I'm definitely excited to see where our friendship grows. Just please, please, please always feel free to reach out to me. I'm here as a resource. And I'm definitely really excited to see where you take the 6-lane highway and the implementation of it, and looking forward to more of our wealth conversations.
All right, same here, man. I appreciate all your help. Good stuff, man.
Cool,
Thanks
man.
for
You bet. I'll talk to you soon. So thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot you took time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. Understand very clearly that you're very busy. With that being said, if you want to continue your journey and learn more about 24/7 mindset, if you're on Facebook, which I'm going to guess you are, then go to 24/7 mindset on Facebook and join the private community. I do coaching tips on there on a daily basis, but from scripts on there to systems on there, models, and the ability to be able to grow and scale a business while you have a quality of life. Hope to see you there.